So it was like an exercise of managing my moods. And I ended up writing I'm calling it my happy album, because it put me in a good mood in a dark time.
Hi, I'm Nick, and I'm joined by Shania Twain for the latest in NME's In Conversation series. How's it going today?
It's going great.
You
Yep,
just did you did a signing at Westfield in London yesterday. What kind of things were people bringing you to sign?
Oh, well, they were bringing albums from the very beginning, CDs, cassettes. You know, it was so wonderful. It was wonderful to meet, the fans in person over here. Yeah, so lots of signing, lots of hugs and photographs. Yeah.
What kind of things do they say to you?
A lot of people right now said, I'll see you in September. They're like, see you soon. Because I'll be coming to do shows here with the tour. They'll often tell me what their favorite song is, what the music means to them. There was a lot of storytelling. It was really cute.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it really, really was. It was very beautiful, and there was a lot of exchange. It was great.
You'll be touring in support of the new album, Queen of Me, which has just gone to #1 in the UK. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I read that you said that you wanted the album to be chirpy, and intentionally so. What made you want to make that kind of album at this point?
Because I was writing the album during the pandemic, I do love to write I'm very solitary. I love to be isolated to write. I like to shut the world out. But with the pandemic going on for so long, month after month after month, it was starting to weigh on me in worry. I'm worried about my family, worried about my friends, worried about the world. And I realized that I go to songwriting as a therapy. And I began to say, okay, if I just focus on writing happy lyrics, songs that I want to dance to, smile, lyrics that make me smile and laugh, then it should pick my spirits up. And it worked. So it was like an exercise of managing my moods. And I ended up writing I'm calling it my happy album, because it put me in a good mood in a dark time.
Well, Giddy Up's definitely happy. How did that song come about? What's the story behind it?
It's a great example of how I was cheering myself up during the pandemic through songwriting. So I'm like, okay, I got to get some, pep in my step. I've got to get, I was literally saying that, I just don't feel, this, I need some positive energy. I need to get the pep back in my step and the spice back in my life. And that just evolved as a songwriter, that, evolved into put some up in my giddy. Do you say giddy if you're giddy and laughy? And
if you're excitable. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, I just want to feel giddy. I want to feel light. So I want to put some up in my giddy and giddy up. And it just, came out and flowed the way a songwriter wants it to. And then the song just wrote itself. It was just ended up being very fun-spirited and light-spirited.
It definitely has that effect. I was listening to it on the treadmill earlier, and it made me go a little bit faster, maybe.
It's a great treadmill song, right? I know. It's a good workout song. I agree. It bops, and it's got a positive energy.
You wrote a song as well with the British dance singer, electro singer Georgia.
Yes.
How did that collaboration come about? Because I feel like people wouldn't have expected that, maybe.
That was my A&R department here in London, who is, they're very supportive. They're fabulous. And Mark Ralph produced the track that Georgia was on, and so he selected the few people that could be in the room. So I think there were always about 3 of us in the room at a time, 4 of us maybe, and Georgia was one of them on one of the songs. Yeah, I got it good. She played the Lynn drum. It was so awesome. She's very talented. She went on the real kit, did the live drums. And then she got on the Lynn drum. It was just so fun. We've got footage of that. It was really, we all really had a fun happy time. It was clear that we were all so happy to be in the room with other creatives.
It sounds as though you had songs kind of ready and you brought them into the session. Is that how it kind of works? So I was wondering, like, when you've got a catalogue that's as kind of iconic and well known as yours, I was wondering if maybe sometimes producers and co-writers might come in with kind of preconceptions about what you're going to want based on what you've done in the past. Is that something you found?
I ask them in the beginning, the producers, to not focus on what I do. So I give my directives as far as what my goals are with the album overall. But I don't, with this particular album, I wanted the talent that was in the room to do what they do. And so the only thing that I was saying is, don't think typical Shania. I'll do the Shania part. So, and that was kind of it. I will bring the Shania, and you just bring your thing. And then together, I'm sure we'll create something really fun. And that is exactly what happened. I bring enough Shania in the room to not worry about them focusing on trying to make a Shania record. Beautiful.
I wanted to talk about the song Pretty Liar, because it does feature an F-bomb, which maybe that might surprise people. But did you kind of have to weigh up whether you wanted to include that on there? Or did it just feel right?
Oh, no, it did definitely feel right. And of course, the label was just saying, well, we're going to have to put a heads up on there. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I think it's very fair to do that. If you have a child and you don't want them to hear that, then I think they should know in advance. But it wasn't going to change my decision to put it on there. It just, I think, was the respectful thing to do to warn people, because they may not have been expecting that from me. So,
when you're writing a song, do you always have the audience in mind, like how it's going to be received, or sometimes do you write just purely for you?
I always write purely for me. It's my indulgence. I love to write. Where I'm keeping the audience most in mind is that I stay true to myself. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I think I know that if I were writing specifically for another artist, I would be writing with that artist in mind. But as far as the audience goes, my role as a songwriter is to share myself with them. And in the process of making the actual record, I want to relate to them. So, for example, a lot of the songs on Queen of Me could have been treated in many ways. They could have been treated with more angst, maybe. They could go anyway. My decision to make it my happy album was the self-help thing, and also connect and share this, let's like we deserve to cheer up. And that is definitely keeping the audience in mind as well. And then getting on stage knowing that I'm going to eventually perform it, and I want to be cheerful with everybody. I just want to get up there and dance, and I want everybody to dance with me.
Do you have a favourite lyric from your entire career, or would it be too hard to pick one?
Well, I mean, one of my favorite songs that I've ever written lyrically is a song called Jealous. Love that song lyrically, and I do love the actual record. Because, look, Man, I Feel Like a Woman is a fabulous lyric. I mean, it's just, I didn't realize how fabulous it was in the moment. I have to admit, I didn't go, whoa, that's a fabulous lyric. But now I realize how meaningful and how many layers there is to that lyric. But something like You're Still the One, that's not a profound lyric. My favorite on this album would probably be I'm Not Just a Girl. And even more so in the song, I'm not just a four-letter word. I mean, that just has in itself so many layers and meaning. And so it carries a lot of weight, just saying, I'm not just a girl. And I'm not just a four-letter word. Carries a lot of weight for me personally, even though it's a very light and fun song. It's probably my favorite lyric. Yeah, I'm not just a four-letter word.
You mentioned Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Rina Sawayama did a song last year where she quoted the iconic Let's Go Girls. How did you feel when you heard that?
I think it's just, it is a very, I do write a lot of conversational lyrics. It's not like, I'm sure people have been saying Let's Go Girls. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I invented that phrase. The fact that it ended up being in, that I put it in a song that became so big. I guess it's just resurfaced or resurfacing in a more, I guess, in pop culture as a catchphrase. But it is something that I think, party mode people have been saying forever.
I've already used this word, but can you remember the first time someone described you as an icon or iconic and what that felt like?
The fact that there were 3 Diamond albums consecutively is really when that began. That category, I guess, that I would have been mentioned in, because that was an iconic thing, and I don't even know how many people have ever done that. So it's in a very small category, niche category, in a very elite category. And I think if I were to really nail down when that would have started, it would have been after the 3rd consecutive Diamond happened. Yeah.
Do you ever, have you fully processed that kind of level of success? As you say, like 3 Diamond albums in a row, Coming Over is still the best-selling album by a female solo artist ever.
No, I'm not a statistic person. I have to admit, I'm the worst at it. I always have to ask everybody around me, well, what was that stat again? I'm not that person. I just don't study that. But I will say that I'm enjoying now more than ever. I think that as I was achieving things, I was too busy to go, wow, I'm achieving so many things. I wasn't celebrating them in the moment, and probably not appreciating them in the moment either, just because I was so focused on, I guess I'm such a committed professional that it's almost like I put the blinders on and I just work and focus. And it's now that I'm reflecting on it and going, wow, I'm having more fun with reflecting on the accolades now than I was when they were happening.
You're obviously doing arenas when you come over in September, but you're also doing an intimate gig at Prism in Kingston. Do you approach that very differently to doing a big arena show, or is it the kind of same approach for you?
It doesn't matter how many people are there. I'm going to put on the same show. I think that when you are in a more intimate space, though, I feel like I can slow down a little bit more and take more time to communicate, just because there's just more proximity. You can see most of the room. There is something to that. But I never, whether it was a small theater or a big room, whatever the show is that I put together is the show I would put on. I would love to actually do a very, very intimate collection of shows that's maybe more broken down and even very, very, with a lot of more proximity. That I have not done since my bar days. And I don't miss the bar days, but I do the proximity with people, and being able to hear someone say something from the back of the room is, nice.
What did you learn about performing from starting out in bars? Did it teach you some really good lessons?
Well, I can't even believe that. When I was a kid, I really had a 100-song repertoire, because it was always about the top 40, whatever the top 40 was. I had to know, but I wanted to be able to take requests, because the bars are very much like that. They're drunk and they all play Country Roads or whatever. And I had to make sure, play Bobby McGee. At the time, it was a lot of country music or folk music, and I had to know. I felt I had to know those songs. I had to know everything. I had to know the top 40 and whatever there would have been like the regular requests. I learned that that I'm there to please the audience. I'm there to play what they want to hear. I'm here to make them happy, and I'm not, and it was good. It was good. I learned to be professional about it. The show must go on, kind of thing that you learn from those things. The show must go on, or you don't get paid. So when you're still working bars, there's no diva allowed in that space. There's no, I'll just show up late. There's no, or I'll show up drunk, or I'll not show up at all, or there's none of that. And I think it was good for me to learn that. And it made me a artist. It made me more prepared for how grueling the climb to, giant success would be. And I was ready for it in that sense. I was ready to buckle down and show up on time and respect the audience. I think that is what I'm trying to say, really.
You mentioned that you'd love to do like an intimate tour. I was wondering if maybe Glastonbury's Legend slot might also be on the wish list, because it feels like it's a perfect fit at this point.
It's on my wish list. Absolutely. So I'll make sure that I do that. I really, it's a legendary thing. I just, like you said, it's on my wish list.
At this point in your career, what's the kind of guiding principle for what you want to do and what you don't want to do?
I think everything now for me needs to be a very mutual respect scenario. If I'm appreciated and I am, respected and treated with mutual respect, then I'm going to enjoy myself. Because as far as the music goes, I love music, so that's a no-brainer. It's not about music. Music is my love, and I'll always want to be wherever the music is. But as a professional, like when I was signing for the fans, there was so much. I had so much respect for them, and they for me, that it was just it was so grounding, and I loved it. I was really thrilled that I did that and that I was there. So it's not like there's ever anything above you as an artist. I don't think, not for me, or below me or whatever. Sorry, I meant like below me. I think it's whatever makes me happy, I guess. Whatever makes me happy and feel good. Yeah, I got to enjoy it.
I think at this point you've earned the right to say that.
I have to enjoy it. Yeah. I guess if I wouldn't do anything I hated. I would definitely avoid that, because it is a lot. It's all about pleasure now. Really, even making this album is all about pleasure. It's all about celebrating, being happy, celebrating that I can belt and power sing again, and that mutual respect is still there. That I go on a tour and people show up. That's a pleasure. That's a joy.
In the documentary that came out last year, you spoke about when you first went to Nashville and they weren't necessarily totally accepting of you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like an outsider now still, or have you kind of transcended being an outsider?
I think, I think the people that respected me then still respect me for approaching things differently, for being a little different when I came into town, for sure. They were probably championing me at the time as well, and those that thought I was going to ruin the genre probably think I ruined the genre. I'm not sure I changed any minds, I guess is what I'm saying. I think I was just always in my own lane, and I wasn't doing it to offend anyone, but it did. You weren't really allowed your own lane, I guess is the point. I didn't realize that you weren't allowed your own lane, because I grew up. With Dolly Parton was one of my heroes. So it's like, wow, she's in her own lane. I'm like, she's in her own lane. Willie Nelson is in his own lane. Johnny Cash is in his own lane. These guys get arrested, So I was a bit naive about where country had gotten to. Maybe I did ruin something for some people, but I'm unapologetic about it.
I think Orville Peck, who you've worked with, said something really amazing, which was that he feels that every generation country needs a disruptor, country music. And in the 70s it was Willie Nelson, 90s it was you, and then now it's like Lil Nas X. And he said that's what the genre needs to kind of, evolve.
I believe in change and evolution. And there's always there needs to be rebels, and because I mean, if we start streamlining and homogenizing art, we are losing and missing out on maybe some actual genius. I mean, you know, it is, that's a tragedy, I think. And, you know, nobody ever said that just because you're a rebel that you're not super talented. I mean, I wouldn't kick somebody out of a genre for being a rebel. I mean, it's kind of, if they were talented, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, the people that were examples to me there were a lot of them that were definitely, would have been, yes, considered disruptors.
Where does your resilience come from? Because you've overcome so many obstacles in your life and career to get to this point, and you're still here and you've made a really celebratory album. Like, where does the toughness come from?
It comes from my youth. I started in bars at 8 years old, you know, and they were not fancy places. They were, you know, rough. Like, I remember these bars when I would a lot of time only be able to go in after midnight, after last call, because when you're underage, you're not allowed to be in the bar when they're serving. So no money exchange for alcohol. That has to stop if a child comes in the bar. And so I would go in at midnight and I would sing for the last call audience, sitting there with their tables loaded. They were already loaded, and then their tables were loaded. So I would often see the lights go on at the end of my hour or whatever. And I'm telling you, man, you don't want to see some of those bars with the lights on. They don't look the same. The things you see when the lights go on in a bar, I mean, you know, it's like, oh, brother. And that's when you see the guy that's been passed out there for 2 hours in the corner on the floor, or, you know, and often that's when the fist fights start. The lights go on and, you know, they're leaving and they're in an argument, and it's kind of the small bar culture. I mean, you guys have the pub culture here, and so you know there's rough pubs, and so you know what to expect. They've got their own thing going in there, and so this is what I was exposed to, and I learned to. I always say this, you know, because it intimidated me, made me afraid. Of course, you know, it was not appropriate for an 8-year-old child, and I learned to not look down and not look back. Just keep going, you know, look for the nearest door. You make sure you always know where the nearest door is, kind of thing. And I think I just kept that with me all these years. Just when you find yourself in a vulnerable situation, you just gotta keep going, I guess.
What are you most proud of in your career? Is it the fact you've kept going?
I think I'm probably most proud of not giving up on my voice, because it was a very long time of 7 years of not knowing what was wrong and then not quitting. So not giving up my career is maybe the wrong way to put it. Coming from me, I guess not giving up on my voice, because I would never have given up on my career. I would have kept writing. I would have written for other singers that could sing, you know, so that would never have ended. But the voice, it's so great to have one. And I'm celebrating that. Yeah, so I'm proud of myself for climbing that mountain. It was a very rewarding one, you know, to get to the top of that one.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.